All you super geniuses out there. This is another video lecture from Super Genius 99, and today we will be discussing even and odd functions. Okay, even and odd functions. Okay, and so instruction are indicate whether each function is even, odd, or neither. Okay, so here's your rules. A function is even if f of x equals f of negative x, and your function is odd if f of negative x equals negative f of x. So what does that mean? Well, a function is even means if I switch the x value to be a negative x, it'll equal the original equation. And if it's odd, if I switch all the x's to be negative x, it'll be the same thing as multiplying your whole function just by a negative 1. Okay. So let's check, and then if neither one of those works, then it is neither. So let's put some problems on the board and see what we get. Okay, so the first one we're going to have x cubed plus x. Okay. So I'm going to test for evenness simply just by plugging in negative x. You only got to do it once. You don't have to do it twice. Okay. You only got to do it once. So I'm going to plug in a negative x into my g of x, and let's see what takes place. Okay. All right, so I'm plugging in negative x into my g of x. So what happens when I cube negative x? I get negative x cubed minus negative x. So obviously, this function is not even because when I plugged in a negative x, I did not get the same function back. So it's clearly not even. But you notice this is the same thing as taking my original function and multiplying it by negative 1. You need to see that? Sure. Let's multiply the original function by a negative 1. And the original function was x cubed plus x, and when you multiply x cubed plus x by negative 1 times x cubed, negative 1 times x, and notice those are the same thing. So this function, x cubed plus x, is odd. Now I know you might be thinking, well, all functions in math are odd. Oh, no, this is odd or evenness of the signs, right? Plugging stuff in. Okay, so let's look at another one. Okay, here we have m of x is equal to x to the fourth plus 3x squared. Okay, so all you have to do is just one time plug in a negative x and just see what the result is. Okay, so I'm going to plug in there. Oops. So there I'm going to put in a negative x. So what happens when negative x. Love my handwriting. I know it's beautiful, right? Okay, so negative x to the fourth, what happens when I multiply negative x times negative x times a negative x times a negative x? What did I get there? X to the fourth. Yeah. And what happens when I square negative x? Negative x times negative x. What's that? 3x squared. Okay. So clearly this isn't even. Clearly this isn't odd. Okay. But notice how what? The same when I plugged in negative x, I got the same result as the original equation, or the original function. We were talking about functions here. So that makes this an even function. How about that? Okay, let's look at another one. Alrighty. Here we have x to the fifth plus 1. Let's plug in a negative. Oh, you probably want a header, right? Let's call this b of x. I know b's not good, but let's just call it b of x. Okay. Just for labeling purposes. Okay, let's plug in negative x and see what happens. Okay, so what happens when you take negative x and multiply it 5 times in a row? Okay, this is clearly not even because I didn't get the same thing back. And you might want to say, well, is it odd? Well, if you want to, you can see the work. If it was odd is the same thing as multiplying your whole function by a negative 1. And if I multiplied the whole function by a negative 1, what do you get? I know some of y'all need to, you need to see it to believe it, right? Okay, so negative 1, or negative times x to the fifth, is a negative x to the fifth. But a negative times that 1 is a minus 1. Ah, see, they're not the same, because here you have x to the fifth plus 1. Here you have x to the fifth minus 1. So those two are not the same. So this is a case of neither, right? It's neither even nor odd. Neither. Okay, I think this will conclude this little video lecture. We might do some more of these. This is Super Genius 99. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.